One of the biggest shifts that you have to make when you go from being an employee to an employer, so you're going from just being an everyday employee to owning a company, the biggest shift you have to understand is that you are no longer trading your time for dollars. You're no longer trading your time for dollars. One of the biggest challenges and one of the biggest hurdles for employers is when you initially make that switch. You're looking for, how do I do more work in a given day, week, whatever? How do I take on more contract billable hours, whatever it may be? You are trying to provide the work. And you can do that to a certain limit and be very profitable. Typically somewhere between the 150 and 250,000 range in revenue, depending on the product and service you provide. That's fairly easy to do. But once you cross that threshold, and it's a little different for everybody given on what you do, once you cross that threshold of $250,000-ish, then it gets to be very difficult to scale that, because guess what? There's only one of you. If there's only one of you, how do you scale you? You don't scale you. You start trading other people's time for dollars. That's the only way. And so that's the hurdle that you have to get over initially when you're doing that. And so how do we do that? Number one is you've got to have systems in place for hiring, systems in place for quality control, systems in place for processes and procedures, all of those things. If you don't have systems, it makes it hard to train people to do what you are doing. And so that's one of the key factors that you have to have. But the biggest one is your mindset. You have to understand, yes, I can bill out $150 an hour for the service I do. And yes, that is mostly profit in the business, but I've only got one of me. I've only got one high value product. So think if you were a car dealership and the only thing you had on your lot was one really expensive car. If you only have one really expensive car, you don't really have a car dealership. You have a promotion to sell that really expensive car. So what do car dealerships do? They have hundreds, if not thousands of cars. And if they don't have access to it on the lot, they have access to it in a dealer system. So they have all these cars they can sell. It's the same thing in business. We have to have more product, other people's time, in order to grow, in order to scale. So you make the mindset switch. You build the systems and things that I was talking about earlier, the processes and all that stuff. You build all that stuff, and then you, one by one, you start adding cars to the lot. You start adding people to the team that can take on and do the work. And even if you're billing out $150 on those same people, but you're only profitable on $20 of it, let's say that's all you get to keep. How many of those can you do? Well, you could sell infinite amount of those. You can continue to sell that. So now, instead of just $150 for your hour of time and you keep, say, $75 of it, now let's say I've got 10, 20, 30, 50 people on board and I'm keeping maybe 15, 20 bucks of that every time. That's way more than just you. So that's the thinking you've got to understand. In order to scale, in order to grow, you have to stop trading your time for dollars and start trading other people's time for dollars. And that's how you will scale your business. If you have questions, as always, you know how to reach me. We'll see you next time.